Good morning, friends and neighbors. Old Doc here. Welcome to my channel for you new subscribers. I'm going to show you what we have on the project today with more scrap iron. Okay, this according to the book, this engine is supposed to have a generator on it with a pre-drilled and threaded hole down here to hold a generator bracket, and then a flat strap coming off of here for the front of the generator, and then the belt is driven off those pulleys there. There's no hole drilled down in there for a generator. I don't know if this is supposed to, if it's got a stator inside on the flywheel. I don't know. I do know my battery's no good, so that doesn't help anything. So what we got in mind, it's not a Delco, it's an Amazon one wire GM type alternator, and we're gonna try to fasten that up in here by using more scrap iron. And I'm gonna take the soapstone and kind of lay out my plan here, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, maybe to give you a little better perspective of what's going on down inside here, and I can actually stick the camera down in there better than I can my head, so you guys are going to see more than I do. I have 6.5 inches. I think it's going to be tight. I may make it 6 3/8 between the inside of here and right down there. And I'm going to cut, back up here, cut this off. So I got 6.5 inches here, right? And then cut this line and scrap this and that. We're going to save this portion. Drill a hole in there for the alternator to pivot on. And let me get this down in there, and I'll give you a little bit of an idea how it's going to lay. Or it's not going to lay there. I've got to drill holes in that flange and drill some holes in the flange right up under here, so I can bolt this so-called bracket down. And yeah, it looks like 6.5 is going to be too much. It's probably going to be closer to 6 1/4 for it to sit down in there. So, which is no big deal. I can, it's easier to make it shorter than it is longer. Okay, so there's going to be this piece right here is going to be bolted down in there. This is going to be drilled out, and then I need to weld an ear with a hole in it right up here. So the alternator will sit in here and bolt all the way through, and then drill a hole on this side and just have a long bolt going all the way through. I dropped the alternator down in here accidentally, so it'll probably never work again. So that bolt will run all the way through, and then bolt on the back side. And then I still have to come up with something slotted for up there. Let me get all this out of your road so you can kind of get it in somewhat of position. So it will be pretty close to that position there. What I may do, and like I said, this piece right there, let's cut at an angle. It will be bolted through here, and then, like I said, weld the ear up here with a hole in it, go right across, and then a nut on this side. That's where this will be. Okay, down inside there. I'm trying to make this. And then what I may do is take a piece of flat stock, like 1/4 inch flat stock, bolt it here, put a twist in it, and then slot it out like a, you know, your alternator adjustment deal. And so you can adjust the tension on the belt. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? Okay, so I don't know how long this video is going to take. It may be broke up over, you know, I may have to continue it next weekend. I'm having more back issues, and I got chiropractor stuff tomorrow, so I'm going to get through this and record as much as I can. And you know, it'll be kind of like the quick attach thing. You know, I'll just have to keep bringing you back because of limited space and time. So with that, I'm going to get started cutting this bracket. I'm going to get started cutting that out. And somebody commented in, I think, one of my, possibly my last video, that this isn't the original engine. Well, that may very well be. That's why it doesn't have the generator holes drilled in down there. I don't know. But it's a 1964 machine, so odds are it's not the original engine. But it's the CCK owning, and that's what was originally in this machine. So it may not be the original engine, but you know what I'm saying. So there's going to be a lot of things on this that aren't original, such as that Lovejoy coupler. I know that's not original. You know, the belts and hoses, they're not original. So whatever. Anyway, I'm going to get to cutting this, and I'll bring you back when I get it to where it fits down in there, and we'll decide where the holes have got to be drilled and so forth, and that's when I'll bring you back. Okay folks, here's what we came up with. I had to do some more modification to this bracket. This bottom of this plate right here is higher. It's an inch higher than that plate on the inside, so I didn't have enough room, so I cut an inch out. So these ears right here lay on this ledge. This one lays on that inner ledge, and I had to drill it, make these holes lower so I could get it in there. And there's actually some adjustment, but I mean, it was a fight trying to get this in and fit it and what have you. But I'll show you what we got now. The guys got it on the bracket, and you got plenty of room on this side for it to go in. Drop in, pull the alternator back, pivot it back just a little, and it will slide across to the other side, because you can't get the bracket and the alternator in this side when they're together. And then, so all we got to do is get our pulleys kind of, and I do have some adjustment for the belt, so that'll help. I got to I've got to drill a couple of holes, probably 3/8 inch holes here and 3/8 inch holes down here in this flange when we get it all lined up. Drop some bolts and nuts down through there to hold this bracket still somewhat. I don't know what I'm going to do in the back end here. I may make a plate, drill a hole back here, and then a hole in the flange back here, and bolt down through to hold this back down. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I mean there's no sense in bolting the front if I'm putting welds back here to hold this down, because the whole thing's about got to come out all together, the bracket and alternator, if the alternator craps out or whatever. So anyway, that's where we're at with this on the homemade alternator bracket from scrap iron. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the new subscribers, and we'll have more on this maybe next weekend or something else. I'm running out of time. Like I said, I'm not going to monkey with this anymore today because the back issues I'm having. Okay, guys and gals, here's where we're at. I welded a piece across the back because this is going to rest on that flange clear at the back, and where the X's are where I'm going to drill holes to hold the bracket down. This front edge here is going to go on the cross member that holds up the back of the engine, and it's going to bolt down to that flange. This is going to rest on the flange that's the back of the frame or back bumper, whatever you want to call it, and drill through that and bolt down. Okay, and the alternator is going to sit in there like that, and hopefully we still have enough room for a lot of belt adjustment. So that's where we're at right now. That may give you a little better idea of what's going on. I just kind of put a piece of conduit in for a spacer. That bolt going through isn't tight yet because I want to make adjustments. I don't know how square we are on our bracket, but I think we can fudge that with our holes, with our mounting holes. You know, we have some wiggle room down in there. So that's kind of the gist of it. That should give us, well, we can go back about that far and then we'll be hitting that back bumper. But it can travel forward quite a ways, I believe, before we hit the shroud. And I think we can even utilize this ground where the grounding bolt goes. You want to ground that to your engine block or the frame. I know a lot of people, they prefer the engine block, so whatever. I just took that bolt out because I cut this side down so it pretty much mirrors this other side. So okay, now you can see where we're going with this. There. I may have to clock it so I can get yeah, my phone's gonna see this plug right there. You can barely see it, and then my hand's in the road and the lights or the phone's in the road. There you can see it right. Yeah, crap. Right here. That plug, I want to take that plug out and hook up that L1 and L2. So I may clock it, clock the alternator. Then again, I may just make up my own 2 wires with the spade deals on it and bend them at a 90 degree. And then that way, if they hit back here, they're not going to be shorting out. So anyway, I need to measure this up for a belt. I know it doesn't look like it, but my pulleys are somewhat lined up, and if they're not, I can loosen bolts and make some adjustments there. So yeah, when I get a belt measured up and get a belt bought and what have you, I'll bring you back. Good Sunday morning, friends and neighbors. Yeah, we got Cowboy Bob on the radio doing his Sunday morning gold radio program. I ran into Cowboy Bob, I don't remember what day it was, Wednesday I believe. I was on my way to the chiropractor and ran into him. He was doing a live show down at from the Hy-Vee in town, and I was on my way to town and I just happened to hear him on the radio, and I stopped in and visited with him for about a half hour. So yeah, well, you can see there's been some changes. We had I'm guessing about 4 inches of snow yesterday, and I'm saying 4 inches, it was heavy wet snow. I knocked 2 inches off the steps on the deck, and then about an hour later I swept another 2 inches off, but you can see it kind of settled in. It's 26 degrees right now, and the wind chill is 16 degrees. And she was slick yesterday. I went to Baumgart's and Fleet Farm to show you a little color in what's left in the trees. Our maples are holding on, but with this freeze, they're going to be dropping leaves pretty quick. But anyway, yeah, I went to Baumgart's and Fleet Farm yesterday morning, and you'd have thought it was Christmas Eve. Everybody out shopping because it was snowing or whatever. And I had to pick up the overpasses, and the bridges were just sheer ice. The pavements were wet. I mean, you know, the streets and what have you, they were wet, but the overpasses and bridges were just sheer ice. I had a Dodge pickup. He come on in onto the 4-lane right over the Missouri River on the bridge, and he went right across in front of me and hit the inside concrete barrier doing about 60 miles an hour. He hit it about at a 45-degree angle right in front of me, and fortunately I got pretty decent tires on old Pearl, and I got slowed down. There was about 5 or 6 cars, maybe a quarter of a mile behind me, and I got slowed down and luckily when he hit the barrier, he stayed right there in that lane. He didn't come back across, because I was getting into the right-hand lane when he hit that barrier. So anyway, we came out unscathed. Unfortunately, he didn't. His red 4-wheel drive Dodge is in pretty sad shape. We got our alternator bracket on. Okay, I've had this raised up for 4 days, I think, 5 days, and I had it clear up to the ceiling up there. You probably can't tell in the video, but it's leaked down considerably yesterday. It was only about 3 inches from where I had it, but overnight, maybe the cold temperatures has something to do with it, I don't know. But anyway, we got our bracket done, and let me turn on some light. We have the alternator mounted up, and there's our upper bracket that I made, and it's wired up. Yeah, I got to tidy up wires yet. Everything's just kind of thrown together. My belt, it's a 36-inch belt. I think I'm going to order a 35, and just so the alternator isn't so close to the back here, but it works fine. Works just fine. And I'll try to get the camera down here so you guys can see. I can't, because I can't get my damn gourd down there. But there's our lower bracket. So yeah, and while I was out yesterday, I picked up a new battery at Bobcat's, and it works fine. Now, I don't know how many of you know, I know Bobcat's batteries, if they still are, I know they used to be interstate batteries, because I know a young man that worked for Interstate Batteries, and his after school job was to put Bobcat stickers on them. I'm not an Interstate Battery fan, so we'll just leave it there. Now we put the alternator on yesterday, the belt and everything. I don't have the hydraulic pump hooked back up yet, and I'm not going to do it today. It's too damn cold. Got everything wired up. What I cannot find is a dummy light. Okay, the light, that blue wire, goes from the T1 post on the alternator. It's supposed to go to one side of a dummy light and then come out the other side of the dummy light and go to your supposed to go to one of your accessory posts on your key switch. Well, the only lights I could find, and none of the parts stores in this area, they don't know what a dummy light is. All right, so this is actually, it's a trailer marker light, an LED. So I have it wired to that, but instead of going through, it has a ground on one side. So you ground it, the light will come on. I did get my gauge working. It's stuck right now. The reason it wasn't working is because they had no wires going to the back of it. Now this gauge, you got one wire is coming from your key switch. It's hooked on the oil pressure switch, but there's a jumper wire that goes from the oil pressure switch to the key switch. So it's, you know, same thing as having it hooked right here to the key switch. That is the hot one, the green wire, and then the other wire is a ground. So the gauge, it is working. When you start the machine up, it goes to like 14.5 volts. Matthew put his multimeter on the battery yesterday, and it was showing 14.4, so it's charging. But I'd still like to get a regular volt gauge where you have one wire from your alternator come up to one side, and then you come out of the other side of the volt gauge to your key switch. My oil pressure gauge, it does work. I shorted across it and it comes up and goes back. I don't know if the wire is broke, if the wire isn't connected, or what the deal is. Or maybe I don't have any oil pressure. Or it may be the oil pressure switch on the motor. I haven't found it yet. This is hydraulic pressure. The only gauge that actually worked from the beginning, and but you can't read it, and I don't know if my hour meter is working or not. So that's where we're at. I would like to get, I'll probably have to get on Steiner and order. I kind of like the looks of this original one, but you can't wire it up, you know, going through like your regular volt gauge, where your heavy wire, your 10 gauge wire from your alternator comes to one side and then goes out the other into the key switch. So I'm looking to get one of those and maybe find a dummy light, and that way, because when I touch the ground on this marker light that I got wired up there, it just stays on all the time, instead of going, you know, being on when you turn the key to on, and then when you start it, the dummy light it acts as a resistor and kicks the alternator on, and the light goes off. Okay, that doesn't, it stays on all the time. I did do a bunch of cross-referencing, and the only oil filter I could find was this Fram, and it's pH 3600. So it does work. Matthew and I took the old oil filter off yesterday. It's laying over here. It is a Wix. I'm going to get on the internet now that I know what the Wix number is, and try to find another Wix. But it's full. This thing, it's heavy. If you can see that, 51762 is the Wix number. So it's heavy, dirty, smells like gas, smells bad like gas. I mean, if you guys remember, watch the back videos where the float was stuck and this thing was really, it was just puking gas out the carburetor. It loaded the crankcase up with oil. So it should have the crankcase fairly clean with all the gas that's mixed in it. So this Fram is just going to be there. I'm not a Fram fan whatsoever, but I'm just going to run it for a little bit with this Fram filter on there, clean oil, and as soon as I can get another Wix, I'm going to change oil out again. So that's where we're at there. But otherwise, if I don't have the oil filter on it right now, and I don't want to run this old crappy oil through this new filter, otherwise I'd start it and show you all it's charging. But I will come back with another video probably next weekend, and hopefully have the wires tidied up by then and all that stuff. So I guess this is it for now, and I'll show you that the alternator is actually, damn, I got the hiccups. The alternator is actually charging, so it works good so far. And that was our goal, to charge the battery, because our other battery, it was no good anyway. It's an old battery out of Penny's car, so we were just using it temporarily until I didn't want to put a good battery in here till we had a charging system, you know. So that's where we're at. And with that, friends and neighbors, I think we're going to close this video out. I know it's been, well, it's only been 20 or 30 minutes for you, but it's been last weekend and this weekend deal. It's been a slow process. Like I said in an earlier part of the video, I've got back issues and I had to get them dealt with. So I spent this week doing that. So I mean, these alternator brackets, they weren't you know, a big deal to make. I didn't draw up any plans, anything like that. It was just, you know, learn as we go, and they worked out. They worked out just fine. So with that, friends and neighbors, like I started to say 4 minutes or so ago, I'm going to close this one out. And we got a lot more to do on this old Bobcat, this old Melro 444. So if you want to keep checking in, we'll have more videos on it. I did find at Fleet Farm yesterday, these tires are 10/16 5s. And at Fleet Farm yesterday, they had 2 of them on the rack. Oh, what the hell were they? $220 each in this size. So it does need tires. I mean, this one's got a little bit of tread, but the rest, that one there, is just like a balloon. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here, let you guys go. Enjoy your day. I'm gonna leave Cowboy Bob on the radio for a little bit. I'm gonna screw this oil filter on quick and find the drain plug, and by then I'll probably, you know, drain the oil out of it and come back out a little bit later. Being it's so cold, I'm going to give it plenty of time to drain down. Screw the plug in, dump the oil in. I'm not even going to start it today. I'm not going to mess with it. So with that, friends and neighbors, be kind to one another. Do something kind for a friend, a stranger, or a loved one. And be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Happy trails.